What's up, the squad? Back with another video. I seen that title was going down. Make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button for me, please. Y'all see it right here. Let me tell y'all something. A lot of y'all seen this, a lot of y'all haven't. But I'm gonna play this. I'm gonna play this just so y'all can catch up if y'all haven't yet. New reports allege as much as 76.5 billion or more in fraudulent spending in California. I'm not gonna lie. When people said, and I know it's probably higher. I ain't gonna lie, it's probably higher. We talked about Minnesota for a while. Still talking about Minnesota. But this is insane. I'm telling y'all. Check it out.
California Congressman Kevin Kiley, he is sounding the alarm in his home state, saying under Governor Gavin Newsom's leadership, it has become the, quote, fraud capital of America.
And we have team coverage. Our national correspondent Alana Austin is on Capitol Hill with more on the investigations into Tim Walz. But we start with correspondent Heather Myers, who has more on what is going on in California. A rainy day out there on the West Coast. Heather, what can you tell us?
Well, good afternoon to you, Katrina and Andrew. This latest report was issued by the state auditor, and that's a nonpartisan position. That state auditor now puts 8 state agencies on the high-risk list of agencies to watch out for things like fraud and mismanagement as well as waste. Here's a look at that 92-page report. Newly added to the high-risk list is California's food stamp program. If the state doesn't get the improper payments under control, it could cost an extra $2.5 billion. Also on there is the Department of Finance, which was tasked with giving out COVID relief funds. Critics say $32 billion of that was taken by fraudsters. Then there are infrastructure issues like California's deteriorating dams and also the high-speed train that's already cost taxpayers $18 billion without a single section of track complete. Other reports cite $24 billion spent on the homeless issue that critics claim the state lost track of. More recently, there's a report that says California cell phone users paid a surcharge for years to upgrade the state's 911 system. Here's Congressman Kevin Kiley talking about what happened to that plan.
That after spending $650 million on that system, the state is totally scrapping it and starting over, completely wasted the money because the technology doesn't work. Mind you, we are very close to Silicon Valley in Sacramento, and yet the government can't figure out how to make basic technology perform.
Telling y'all. So there y'all have it. There y'all have it. But as y'all know, soon as he gets confronted about these things, he gets confronted about obviously the affordability, seeing how things aren't going very well at all in California. Listen what he has to say about that, y'all.
I do want to, while we're on the economy, ask about affordability. Because, yes, people are struggling all across the country. California has the highest cost of living in the nation. The state's prices are 11% higher than the national average. We were actually out to dinner here in Nashville last night. We met a couple from California. Yeah. They moved out of California because they couldn't afford the rent or even to buy a home and also start a family.
Yeah, we've had hundreds of thousands of people moving in California the last 2-3 years. We've seen population growth. As you know, we moved from 6th to the 4th largest economy in the world, and we dominate now in every key industry, from AI, quantum, robotics. We dominate in ag. We dominate forestry.
But people are struggling to afford things like your mom was.
And that's why we did $11 insulin, first of its kind in the United States. It's why we have universal health care and the lowest uninsured rate in the country, 6.4%. It's why we just subsidized over 300,000 child care slots, more than any other state in the nation. That's why 65% of people graduate from the UC and CSU with zero debt. It's why we have the highest minimum wage for healthcare workers, $25 in the United States. For fast food workers, $20 in the minimum, $20 minimum wage. So,
bro, I'm not gonna lie though, but like, what is that? The thing is like he's a person that says stuff that truly doesn't matter. He says stuff that truly is like I'm okay, bro. If you having the prices up, like, what does that matter? Like, you literally gas prices up. You go to the store, everything's up. Housing, it's everything's up. I mean, I would hope would bring that minimum wage up, or you would like it's stuff that he says. He's one of those individuals. And it's a lot of them. It's a lot of them. Like, you saying stuff that doesn't matter. You're not really answering the question. You ain't doing nothing about it. And he's all for himself.
We're looking at it from both sides. While we have a parents' agenda that expanded paid sick leave and extended to 8 weeks of paid family leave, all to support families, to address cost of living, and to address the affordability crisis that goes back literally 70 years in California. For one reason, we're as dumb as we want to be on housing. We haven't been able to get out of our way. It explains more things in more ways and more days of what's wrong with our state. And finally, we move forward with historic housing reforms that even our worst critics, including some on the left, like my friend Ezra Klein, acknowledged were the most progressive and perhaps most impactful reforms in a generation to finally address that issue.
And I find it completely insane with this guy. I promise y'all I do. I truly, truly do. This on CNN says today Newsom was asked on CNN why California has the highest cost of living in the country. He refused to answer. Exactly what I'm saying. Individuals like him, we've been over this plenty of times. Went over it with Fry in Minneapolis. You do it, you have Tim Walz. You have so many individuals that do the same thing. You're not answering the question. I'm telling y'all. Check it out right here.
We should definitely acknowledge that this is still a huge issue for many people, and it's way too difficult for many people across this country to get by. But I do think it would be fair for him to point out that the affordability issues are not felt uniformly throughout the country. So, for example, earlier today on CNN, Dana Bash asked the governor of my state, Gavin Newsom, why does California have the highest cost of living of any state in the country? And he didn't have an answer, but the answer is very clear. It's that we massively overregulate energy and housing and water and all of these other sectors, agriculture, that contribute to the cost of living. If you just look at gas prices, for example, they're the highest in California of any state in the country by far, higher even than Hawaii, because we have the highest gas tax and we have all of these limits that have on regulations that have caused refineries to close, so that we're now actually importing gasoline from the Bahamas, which isn't very good for the environment either. And so the president, I don't want him to use that necessarily as a way to say, to criticize particular governors or particular states, but rather to say we can learn a lesson here, that states that overregulate, that have this scarcity mindset, drive up the cost of living. But if we embraced an abundance mentality, one that's designed to increase housing, one that's designed to increase access to health care, one that's designed to increase domestic energy production, then we could lower the cost of living and improve the quality of life for folks in every state in the country.
Let me explain something to y'all. Y'all know what would definitely help. And I'm not a person that's just like, I'm not trying to be negative. I'm not a person that's about to sit here and y'all know I'm not gonna sugarcoat. I'm not doing that. I do have to watch what I say on here. But y'all know something that'll definitely help is if it's actions. If it's actually actions and you hold this individual accountable. Because regardless, me personally, with all the money that we've been talking about and the things that's, I truly feel as if there's a lot of individuals that need to be serving jail time, prison time. Me personally. President Trump says Gavin Newsom is a loser. Everything he's touched turns to garbage. His state has gone to hell, and his environmental work is a disaster. And I truly agree with everything he's saying. One thing about it, though, this is Nick Shirley. I know a lot of y'all know Nick Shirley. I know a lot of y'all also know that Nick Shirley also went to California, has been in California, and exposing a lot. Says Nick Shirley exposes migrant children living in tents in Gavin Newsom's California.
¿Ustedes son de Colombia? Sí, somos colombianos. ¿Y cuánto tiempo ustedes llevan aquí en los Estados Unidos?
Llevo 2 años.
Cuando ustedes vinieron aquí a los Estados Unidos, ¿pensaba que iba a llegar aquí a este punto a vivir aquí en esta calle?
No, pensábamos que iba a ser una vida diferente.
Vinimos para cambiar la vida.
And I don't know if y'all can see the words, but I'll definitely do my best to let y'all know what's going on, but said they have been there for 2 years.
2 años.
Cuando ustedes vinieron aquí a los Estados Unidos, pensaba que iba.
Says when you guys came here, did you think you would be living here on the street? I ain't gonna lie, I did not know Nick Shirley spoke Spanish. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't know that. That's actually pretty tight.
¿Para llegar aquí a este punto a vivir aquí en esta calle?
No,
Said never we thought it was going to be a different life.
pensábamos que iba a ser una vida diferente.
O sea, vinimos para cambiar la vida. Pensaba que íbamos a cambiar nuestras vidas, no íbamos a estar así como perros, no es como estamos como perros. Porque no somos animales, somos seres humanos.
Said we aren't animals, we are human.
Pero coño, mira a los niños, tenemos los niños aquí, ¿ves?
Said they have kids in there.
Una criaturita.
So here on Skid Row, we got migrants that came here from Colombia, and there's little kids here, and they live inside this tent. I imagine they didn't expect their life to be like this when they crossed over the border. ¿Ustedes pensaban que cuando cruzaron por
Says when you cross the border, did you think this would be your life?
la frontera, eso iba a ser la vida?
No.
No. Y Dylan, ¿te gusta vivir aquí en los Estados Unidos? No.
Say you don't like living in the USA. I ain't gonna lie.
Los Estados Unidos
claro.
y ahora está viviendo en carpas aquí en uno de los más peligrosos
I
lugares.
ain't gonna lie, y'all. I truly hate it. I truly hate it that a lot of individuals put their kids. I feel like it just goes a long way with a lot. And it starts back a lot of this within Biden too. And Biden's White House. But I truly hate that you see parents that put and just individuals. Some of these kids don't even have parents that have went, you know, and got into the United States or in the United States. And that's really sad, you know, and that's one thing that I definitely hate seeing and I pray about, you know, is you know, and a lot is for the homeless, you know, of course, I mean, you see it right here, kids, you know, and the women and the elders, elderly. And I definitely do. And it's definitely something that's, you know, sad when it comes down to it within seeing kids, you know, that's going through a lot of these things. And I truly, you know, hate it. I truly do. It's definitely something that's sad. However y'all look at it, I know a lot of people, some people, you know, don't care about it. But me personally, I'm still a child of God at the end of the day. And it just sucks that, you know, a lot of these parents, I know a lot of them want to get away from, you know, where they came from, this, that, and the other. But then again, I mean, it's just, a lot of it's just, everything's messed up. Like I said, I don't like to point fingers, but people got to start voting smarter and stop voting by feelings or lies or fake news. You know what I mean? Definitely wild. Check it out.
In fact, this broke my heart. I saw this earlier in the week, and this is why I wanted to have you here. You went to Skid Row. This is one of the poorest areas in the country. There are a lot of homeless people there. It is not a place for a child. But you went to Skid Row, and I want to play this. Here's what you found.
So here on Skid Row, we got migrants that came here from Colombia.
And y'all seen this video, so I'll skip it up a little bit right here.
In that tent, migrant children. And I believe you said to that migrant child, is this what you thought being in America would be like? And that child named Dylan said no. And they said, you said, do you like living in America? And Dylan said no. Did you ever think you would find this on Skid Row?
No. It was actually super sad because even just yesterday I went back to Skid Row and there's a 12-year-old with his mom. And I actually got him and his mom a hotel room for the next few days so they don't have to be on Skid Row.
That's fine.
But the fact is that there's a lot of these little kids living on Skid Row and other places in California on the streets, yet they receive billions of dollars for these NGOs and nonprofits, and they can't even prioritize children, it seems like. I mean, if you see a child out there for a few days, he should be inside of a shelter immediately. And that's just something that they're failing to do all throughout the streets of Los Angeles.
I love that you got that family a hotel room. You know, I just sit here and I think about it, and I think about how cruel it was to incentivize illegal immigration and say, you know, you can have a better future here, and then you end up on a tent in Skid Row. So amazing job getting that little child a hotel room. No child should be living in poverty like that.
And that's how I truly feel about the situations right there. Like I said, I know a lot of people look at the simple fact, oh, deport them and deport this, deport, you know, any individual that. Let me tell y'all something, man. I'm be 100 regardless. We gotta figure out, you know, today. We gotta do better, you know. And like I said, I definitely, you know, applaud Nick Shirley for what he did, you know, getting them a hotel is, you know. And I don't know, I just feel like there's so many messed up things when it come about, like everything within it. Like it's so many things. Like that's why I say it's very, very important You know, and nothing's not going to happen overnight. But it's very, very important for people to pay attention on what they're voting for. And it's truly, that's why I push so hard to put out these videos. Sometimes, you know, people look at my videos and look at it like, oh, Rick, why is your title like this? And why is your thumbnail like this? Why is your... Now I'm telling y'all, I try to pull in so many different individuals. So many different individuals. You know, especially individuals that truly don't pay attention, or individuals that are in denial, just so they can hear me out and hear what I have to say and hear, you know, and see what the videos that I have to show, because it for real, it's important. There's a lot of fraud, you know, that's going on. There's a lot of bad things that's going on. You know, in California, it says 30 people called registered as their home address at a UPS store in San Diego, California, in order to vote in elections. And this is exactly what I'm talking about. You have stuff like this. I'm telling y'all. It says how many other places in California are similar used to cheat in elections.
Here in California at this UPS store in San Diego, over 30 people are registered to vote as this is their primary residence. It's all right to have this as a location where you receive a ballot, but you can't have it as your primary residence. And all of these people do right here. For instance, this lady right here, Gloria, she's 100 years old and she voted in the 2024 election. In fact, the large majority of these people voted in the 2024 election, and some of these people even have the exact same P.O. boxes. I don't think too many people can live inside of a P.O. box. And what's concerning about this is right now in Pollard Market, Gavin Newsom is also setting the stage to become the next Democrat nominee for the 2028 election. Meanwhile, there's massive voter fraud taking place. You actually don't even need an ID to vote here inside of California. And like I said, over 30 people are registered to vote inside of this UPS store alone. A little crazy.
Not even that. I mean, you literally have it right here. Nick Shirley exposes people are being registered as storage rental.
The fraud continues. Now we're outside of a extra space, a storage unit location. Here, 5 people are registered to vote. So 5 people are registered to vote here. They confirm that nobody lives here. A little fishy. California's got some weird things going on. And so that right there is 5 potentially fraudulent votes in one location inside of a storage unit. This is super important to understand before we...
I'm telling y'all, bro. And y'all can look up Nick Shirley. Y'all see, that was the end of that video. But y'all can look up Nick Shirley. It's on YouTube. Telling y'all. Amazing, amazing stuff. Says here, welcome to California, where you and Bill is a fake news media are working together to smear Nick Shirley and anyone who investigates fraud in California by falsely accusing us of hate crimes. Definitely wild, you know. And again, this is something that people shouldn't be surprised about, because they're going to continue to do this when you try to get the truth out. Check it out.
And to see the machine ramp up right here in California. And you can see where the unions are contacting all of the mainstream, but fake news outlets, telling
Don't apologize. They are fake news, yes.
But they're accusing Nick Shirley and I of hate crimes for merely looking into potential fraud at licensed daycare businesses that have multiple health and safety violations and patterns where there's up to 39 kids enrolled and 0 kids present. This is not me saying it. It's not Nick Shirley saying it. These are state investigators at unannounced visits who are documenting this not once, not twice, but up to 3 times, and in one learning center 9 times.
Did they spell it correctly this time?
Exactly. They spell it correctly this time. One thing about it, like I've said before, and I wanted to, you know, talk more about this, but definitely got to get these videos out for y'all. It says Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass deserve to serve a minimum of 25 years in federal prison without the possibility of parole. And honestly, I think it's so many things within it. And I say this, you know, because it goes to show you, bro, like, it just literally goes to show y'all on how bad it can get when you're doing people wrong, and when it's so, like, it's so much stuff. I really, it would be, I know for a fact, hours and hours and hours just of a single video of all the fraud and the messed up things, the cruel things that's going on in California. I know it'd be hours and hours. If I sit here and just talk about everything that's going on, it's so many things that's out, and that's one thing that I hate. I know y'all hate as well. Is that it's just so much talk about it, and I wish I could, do my best. I know Nick Shirley, because I mean, you hate to see it, but I mean, the only job that we can do is keep on, putting out what we need to put out, just so things can get done. It's one of those things. I mean, actions speak louder than words, and we need to see action. Make sure y'all hit that like button, hit that subscribe button for me, please. Definitely appreciate y'all. Much love, everybody. Catch y'all next one.